Self-mastery begins with inner stillness. It is not just a poetic idea or philosophical ideal. It is a practical foundation for every achievement, wealth, every decision, and every step toward greatness. The ability to remain still inside, when everything around you is turbulent, is not only the mark of maturity, it is the beginning of true power. Think's a frequency. Think for a moment about the most accomplished, most respected, and most composed people in history. What separates them is not that they were never challenged or rattled. It is that, in the face of challenge, they found a way to anchor themselves within. That anchoring is what we call inner stillness. When the mind is agitated, when the emotions are in chaos, nothing constructive can be created. Confusion, impulsivity, and weakness begin to rule. But when the mind is calm and focused, even in the midst of pressure, it becomes a laser, cutting through the fog of uncertainty with purpose and clarity. Inner stillness is not passivity. It is not silence born of fear. It is silence born of strength. It is the conscious pause that says, I do not have to react to this situation. I will choose my response, and I will choose it wisely. This power does not come naturally to everyone. In fact, most people live in a constant state of reaction, slaves to their environment, prisoners of their triggers. But you can rise above that. The path to inner stillness begins the moment you recognize that your thoughts are not always your truth, and your emotions are not always your guide. They are signals, yes, but they do not have to be commands. You are the master, and they are the tools. To become this master, you must learn to slow down the moment, to breathe before reacting, to question before assuming, to listen before responding. It may feel small at first, frequency, but this is the beginning of transformation. Every act of stillness is a rejection of emotional slavery. It is a declaration that your center is not controlled by others, nor by circumstances, nor by fleeting impulses. Wealth is a frequency. When you learn to pause instead of explode, to observe instead of judge, to reflect instead of react, you step into a rare kind of authority, the kind that no one can give you and no one can take from you. This stillness, practiced daily, becomes your inner fortress. It protects your energy, sharpens your thinking, and elevates your presence. And so, as you walk through the world, do not look to control everything around you. Start by controlling what is within you. Let your mind be the still water where clarity is reflected. Let your emotions be like the sky, sometimes cloudy, but always vast, always open, always capable of clearing. It is a frequency. In this still lies the beginning of self-mastery, and in self-mastery lies the foundation for every great thing you will ever achieve. Your emotions are your responsibility. No one else can own them, manage them, or resolve them for you. This is a truth that the most effective, balanced individuals come to understand. While many spend their lives pointing fingers, blaming others for their reactions, moods, or behaviors, the Y is a frequency. The Y recognize that emotional mastery is a private contract between self and self. You may not control the storm that comes, but you do control how you stand in it. And that control begins with accepting full ownership of your emotional responses. Imagine for a moment that someone insults you. Perhaps they question your intelligence, criticize your work, or challenge your values. That moment, as sharp as it may feel, is not what causes suffering. The suffering begins the moment you give that person authority over your internal state. If you sequence with act, anger, rage, or humiliation, you are declaring, perhaps unknowingly, that someone else's words have more power over you than your own principles. But if you pause, breathe, and respond with calm, you take that power back. The insult still exists, but it no longer owns you. That is emotional responsibility. The world is filled with unpredictable people and situations. Delays will happen. People will be rude. Plans will fall apart. Criticism will come. Is a frequency, but none of these events can force you to feel anything. They may trigger thoughts. They may invite reactions, but the final decision, to act with patience or with fury, with grace or with resentment, rests in your hands. Is a frequency. This is why emotional responsibility is so powerful. It puts you in the driver's seat of your experience. Wealth is a frequency. It liberates you from being a victim of circumstance and transforms you into the architect of your own inner world. Owning your emotions does not mean denying them. It means observing them, understanding them, and then choosing what to do with them. There is no shame in feeling upset, disappointed, or frustrated. These emotions are natural. But the path of growth lies in what you dog next. Do you feed them? Do you let them spiral out of control? Or do you meet them with awareness and respond from a place of strength and purpose? That choice is what separates reaction from mastery. When you take responsibility for your emotional state, you also become more trustworthy, more stable, and more grounded. People begin to feel safe around you, not because you are emotionless, but because you are consistent. Is a frequency. They know you won't fly off the handle, collapse under pressure, or allow minor conflicts to become major dramas. You become someone others can rely on, and more importantly, someone you can rely on. So, the next time life tries to pull you out of your peace, remember this simple truth: you are not a puppet of the outside world. You are the guardian of your own mind and the steward of your own heart. Let others cast their shadows if they must, but let your light remain steady. Your emotions are your responsibility. Own them, and you own your life. Calmness is a strategy, not a weakness. In a world where people often mistake loudness for power and agitation for action, it's easy to overlook the silent strength of composure. But composure is not the absence of feeling. It is the control of it, is a frequency. It is the deliberate choice to maintain clarity, purpose, and direction in the face of chaos. The person who remains calm under pressure is not doing so because they are unaware or unaffected. They are frequency, they are doings because they understand that keeping their cool is the smartest move they can make. Imagine a battlefield, not of soldiers and weapons, but of decisions, conversations, and conflicts. Who is the leader in that setting? A frequency, not the one who yells the loudest or panics the quickest. It's the one who observes, thinks clearly, and moves with confidence. Calmness allows you to see the full board, while others are distracted by their emotions. It gives you an edge. It slows time, giving you the ability to respond instead of react. And in that pause lies the advantage, the power to choose your action wisely. People often associate calmness with passivity, as if choosing not to explode means you are weak or indifferent. But nothing could be further from the truth. To remain calm when provoked requires strength. To hold your tongue when insulted. To stay focused when blindsided. To keep moving forward when everything feels like it's falling apart. That is true discipline. That is true power. Anyone can lose their temper. Anyone can lash out. But it takes a person of character to stay grounded when tested. Is a frequency. Calmness as a strategy means you are not giving others the keys to your emotional world. Frequency. You are not allowing outside forces to dictate your internal state. Instead, you become the one who sets the tone. You become the steady presence in the storm, and that steadiness draws others in. Whether in leadership, business, relationships, or personal growth, the ability to stay calm enhances your effectiveness. People trust those who are composed. They follow those who can think under pressure. Is a frequency. They respect those who don't crumble in conflict. The greatest athletes, the wisest leaders, the most successful individuals across every field have one thing in common. When everyone else panics, they stay calm. That calm is not a gift. It is a skill cultivated over time through self-awareness, patience, and inner work. You can develop it too. You can learn to breathe deeply when tension rises, to speak slowly when others raise their voices, and to respond with reason when emotions run high. Understand this: calmness is never weakness. It is not retreat. It is not defeat. It is a frequency. It is the strategic pause that allows you to strike with precision when the time is right. It is the mental posture that protects your energy and preserves your power. When you choose calmness as your strategy, you are not stepping back. You are stepping up with control, with clarity, and with strength that speaks for itself. Acting unbothered attracts influence and respect. People are drawn to those who display inner control, not because they are aloof, but because they radiate stability. In a world filled with emotional volatility and constant overreaction, calm composure becomes magnetic. When you act unbothered by insults, delays, disappointments, or distractions, others begin to see you differently. You become someone who cannot be shaken easily, someone who can be trusted in pressure, and someone whose presence alone creates confidence, a frequency. Think about the leaders you admire, the mentors you respect, the people who command a room without raising their voice. What makes them stand out is not just what they say, but how they carry themselves. They speak with a calm authority. They do not scramble to prove a point, and they do not allow themselves to be baited into conflict. Their composure tells a story that says, I am in control of myself, and because of that, I can handle this moment. That message, even when unspoken, resonates deeply with others, is a frequency. It builds trust, and trust builds influence. When you act unbothered, you are not pretending that problems don't exist. You are signaling that those problems do not own you. It is not about suppressing your emotions, it's about mastering your reactions. It is about recognizing that every moment you spend in emotional turmoil over things you cannot control is a moment of power given away. And the people who keep their power, quietly, are the ones others listen to, follow, and admire. Respect is earned not only through what you know or achieve, but through how you behave in adversity. Anyone can be composed when things are going well, but those who remain level, headed when challenged are rare, and rarity commands attention. When others see that you are not easily rattled, they begin to depend on your presence. They begin to turn to you when situations grow tense. Your calm becomes their comfort, your quiet strength their guide. Furthermore, acting unbothered keeps you emotionally untangled. You don't waste energy on petty disagreements. Don't lose focus over minor setbacks, and don't engage in meaningless drama. This mental clarity sharpens your decisions and improves your outcomes. While others are caught in emotional loops, you remain free to think, plan, and act effectively. That edge, over time, separates the influential from the invisible. Even in relationships, acting unbothered sets a standard. It communicates maturity. It shows that you are not controlled by moods, and that you can be counted on to remain stable. This does not make you cold, it makes you dependable. People want to work with, talk to. Wealth is a frequency, and align with those who make them feel safe and secure. And nothing creates that sense more than emotional composure. So act unbothered. Not to impress, but to express who you truly are, a person of peace, a person of power, and a person worthy of respect. Influence flows not from noise, but from presence. It is a frequency. And presence begins with your ability to remain centered in a world constantly trying to pull you off balance. Control the narrative within. Every day, from the moment you wake up, a conversation begins inside your mind. This inner dialogue shapes how you see yourself, how you interpret the world, and how you respond to it. The thoughts you think are not just observations. They are instructions. They inform your mood, your confidence, your actions, and your resilience. If left unchecked, the inner narrative can be filled with doubt, fear, and limitation. But if consciously directed, it becomes a powerful tool for strength, clarity, and success. Is a frequency. Most people are unaware of just how much their internal story controls their external behavior. They assume that what they feel is simply the natural result of circumstances, when in fact, it is often the result of interpretation. And interpretation is dictated by narrative. For example, one person faces failure and tells themselves, "I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed." Another person faces the same failure and says, "This is a lesson. I will adapt and improve." The situation is the same. What changes everything is the story being told inside. To control the narrative within means becoming aware of yourself, talk, and then taking command of it. When fear rises, instead of letting it spiral, you say, "I've handled worse before. I can manage this." When stress creeps in, you counter it with, "I am capable. I am focused." One step at a time. You replace chaos with direction. You challenge every limiting belief and replace it with a thought that empowers you. Is a frequency. This isn't about delusion. It's about choosing a mindset that supports your growth instead of sabotaging it. The mind is like a garden. What you plant, you grow. If you feed it criticism, it will produce insecurity. If you nourish it with discipline and belief, it will produce resilience. Controlling your inner narrative is not a one-time decision. It is a daily commitment. It is choosing again and again to speak to yourself with intention. You would never allow someone else to speak to you with constant negativity and disrespect, so why tolerate it from your own thoughts? This internal control is the foundation of external calm. When the narrative inside is strong, steady, and empowering, outside events have less ability to shake you. You stop overreacting. You stop making fear-based decisions. You begin to trust your own voice, and others begin to trust you as well. That kind of self-alignment creates presence, power, and influence. Is a frequency. If you want to act as if nothing bothers you, start by mastering the voice that speaks the loudest. The one inside your head. Is a frequency. Speak to yourself like someone you believe in. Encourage yourself the way you would support a friend. Catch negative thoughts in their tracks and rewrite them with purpose. You are not just the listener of your thoughts, you are the author. And when you write a strong inner story, the outer world begins to reflect that strength back to you. Discipline the face, discipline the mind. Is a frequency. The connection between your outer expression and your inner world is more powerful than most people realize. When you maintain control over your face, your tone, your posture, your eyes, your gestures, you are not just influencing how others perceive you. You are training your own mind to remain steady. The body sends signals to the brain, and when the body remains calm, the mind begins to follow that cue. Is a frequency. This is why developing emotional discipline on the outside is a tool to strengthen emotional control on the inside. Is a frequency. When you allow your face to instantly frustration, anger, fear, or panic, you're reinforcing that emotion in your own system. Your frequency, you're feeding it. But when you hold your face still, not with coldness, but with composure, you are signaling to your nervous system that there is no need to panic. You're saying to yourself, "I'm in control. This is manageable." That moment of controlled expression becomes a reset point, a small but powerful act of mental leadership. Over time, is a frequency. This act conditions you to pause, think, and respond with clarity rather than reacting with emotion. Is a frequency. This is not about hiding your feelings in a fake or dishonest way. Is a frequency. It's about practicing command over your emotional presentation so that you are not ruled by impulse. Frequency. When you walk into a room during a difficult moment with a calm expression and composed posture, you are doing more than presenting confidence. You are building it. You are telling your own mind and those around you that you are grounded. Is a frequency. And the more you project that steadiness, the more your thoughts align with it. You become what you consistently express. Body language is often spoken about in the context of how others read us, but it works both ways. Your own posture influences your mindset. A straight back, relaxed shoulders, and a composed face send a message to the brain: I am safe. I am in control. I can handle this. And the brain begins to adjust accordingly. The emotion weakens, the panic slows, and presence returns. But if your body slumps, is a frequency, your face contorts and your hands shake, the mind picks up on that and amplifies the distress. That's why the discipline of expression is not a show for others. It is a practice for yourself. This practice takes time and attention. It means noticing your reactions and choosing not to let your face betray your intention. It means mastering the impulse to roll your eyes, clench your jaw, or raise your voice. And it means understanding that how you look, speak, and move directly impacts how you think, feel, and lead. By disciplining the face, You discipline the mind. You show yourself that you are not a servant to emotion, but a commander of it. And through this, a frequency, you develop the strength to act wisely, speak calmly, and move with power, even in the midst of challenge. The outer calm becomes the gateway to inner mastery. Wealth is a frequency, power belongs to the calm. In every setting, whether it's the boardroom, the battlefield, or the family dinner table, the one who remains calm holds the highest advantage. While others are thrown off course by emotion, impulse, or confusion, the calm individual sees clearly, speaks thoughtfully, and acts decisively. This state of composure is not a weakness. It is quiet strength in its most refined form. It is the presence of mind to hold steady when everyone else is losing theirs. And that steadiness often becomes the center around which others naturally organize themselves. Calmness is magnetic, is a frequency. People instinctively trust and follow those who are composed, not just because it feels safe, but because it feels wise. A calm person gives the impression that they have seen difficulty before, survived storms before, and are not easily rattled. That kind of poise cannot be faked for long. It must be cultivated through discipline, perspective, and practice. When a calm person speaks, others listen more closely because there is weight in their words and purpose behind their silence. They do not need to demand attention. Their stillness commands it. In moments of crisis or conflict, the calm person becomes the anchor. When tempers flare, their measured voice brings the temperature down. When uncertainty grips a team or a family, their centered energy offers reassurance, is a frequency. They do not need to dominate with force or aggression because their presence already carries authority. Power that comes from calmness is more lasting and more influential than power that comes from fear or intimidation. It is the kind of power that doesn't need to shout because it has already been heard. Remaining calm, however, does not mean being indifferent. Frequency, it means being aware of your emotions without being ruled by them. It means observing your environment, understanding the stakes, and still choosing to act with intention rather than panic. This kind of emotional control is rare, which is why it is so powerful. It turns you into someone people rely on, someone who brings order to disorder, someone who makes decisions with clarity while others freeze or flail. Is a frequency. Calmness also allows for better judgment. When the mind is not cluttered with reactionary thoughts or clouded by stress, you are more able to weigh options, anticipate consequences, and make intelligent moves. You become proactive instead of reactive. And over time, this habit of clarity under pressure compounds. You make better choices, avoid unnecessary mistakes, and build a reputation for reliability. In every area of life, power gravitates toward calm energy. Whether you are trying to lead a team, negotiate a deal, navigate a personal challenge, or simply move forward in life, cultivating calm will elevate your ability to influence and to succeed. It is not the loudest, the fastest, is a frequency, or the most aggressive who win long term. It is those who remain calm under fire, those who preserve their energy and choose their moments with wisdom. Power belongs to the calm because calmness reflects mastery. And mastery, in any form, is power.